Usually you have the United Nations and the European Community, the European Union, that are always first in line with ideas that supposedly are designed to improve the life of citizens. But on the opposite, maybe they are not so clear and they didn't really help for the development of humanity. But before going on with the presentation, remember that you have my book on sales, on inflation, where you can find everything you need to know about this disastrous phenomenon. Please remember to give me your like and also to share this video with your friends. Today we talk about the Agenda 2030, and it was the year 2015, so we talk about 9 years ago, more or less, when in the United Nations they came up with a great idea to make a better world. And if you listen under these premises, to make a better world, it should be an objective that every nation around the world should pursue. Who doesn't want a better world? Usually, when you have this idea, you have in the front line of the project also the European Community. So, we are talking about the agenda, as I said, 2030. 9 years have already passed, and I would like to make a little analysis of the objectives of this agenda have been achieved, or if it is only an utopic agenda that doesn't really solve the world problems. So, but what were the objectives or the main objectives of this agenda? There were many objectives, so it's difficult to talk about to all of them, but we will try to focus, for example, in the most emblematic. The first one was to get rid of poverty. And then you have a second objective that is zero hunger. A third one, good health and well-being. Quality education. The fifth objective was gender equality. Clean water for everybody. And then you have a lot of other objectives, many, more than one, that are related to the environment. So we can say that usually when you have a plan for the people that are used to work in a company, to make a plan with too many objectives to begin the analysis is a way do not achieve none of them. If you have too many objectives, you lose the sight. So a plan, usually, to be successful, should be focused between few main targets, maybe 5. 5 could be a good number. But when you have more than 5 targets, the results can be very difficult to achieve, and probably you became lost between too many parameters and too many ideas without achieving any conclusive target and any conclusive objectives. So you have the European Union and the United Nations that have been in front line to sponsor this idea. I repeat, they are very logical idea. Who doesn't want a world without hunger? But the point, or who doesn't want a better world without pollution, for example, or with more equality? So let's analyze if these after 9 years, if the objectives have been achieved or not. First, get rid of poverty. Well, I have the impression that actually it happened the opposite. Why? Thanks to the inflation, we had an increase of poverty all around the world. We have the middle class that probably have lost a lot of purchasing power, So we have a concentration of wealth on the upper classes against the middle class. So this objective hasn't been achieved. Then we go to all the goals that are related to the environment. And when we talk about environment, there is a big fight between the progressive agenda, the one that consider that we are in the brink of extinctions, and the one that maybe from a different or for a more pragmatic point of view consider that probably climate is changing, but probably the humans will adapt to the new conditions. There are 8 billion at the moment of people living on Earth, and obviously 8 billion of people make an impact where they live. That's clear. At the same point, we have also to think about the world demographic. So, the 8 billions are a problem, or we are facing a change in the structural demographic of the world. If we look, for example, at the fertility rate, we see that in most of the continent, the fertility rate decreased abruptly below 2.1 children per fertile woman. So if you have such a low fertility rate, it impacts firstly directly the demographic structure of the population, and then it might cause, if the fertility rate doesn't change, a population decrease. Europe is getting older and older, so it will have huge impact on the finance of the continent and on the well-being of the continent. Same situation in the United States. In the United States, you have a little better fertility rate than in Europe, also because you have many immigrants from Latin America that are keeping the fertility rate a little higher respect in comparison with the one of Europe. But in both cases, you are quite below the 2.1 children per woman, which is the minimum level that you must have in order to have the stability on the population and on the demographic structure of the population. So we see that number of people living on Earth could diminish in the future, also because the trend is decreasing. We are facing a decreasing trend. Also, it will have an impact on the environment. But the main goal at United Nations level, one of the main goals, and at the European level, is to improve the environment. Most of the actions in order to improve the environment are targeting the agricultural sector. But at the same time, you have another objective, that is no more hunger in the world. For example, one of the ex-Timmermans was the ex-commissioner, European Commissioner on the environment, and he implemented a lot of regulation that Timmermans implemented many regulations that affected the agricultural business all throughout Europe. For example, in Holland or in the Netherlands, the farmers, the producer of milks, they have been hugely impacted by the Timmermans ideas. In Italy and in Spain, farmers have been hugely impacted. So you have, in one side, the idea of improved environment, but on the other side, and you have the problem to get rid of the hunger in the world. And probably the two goals, they cannot be achieved together. Probably they are two opposite goals. So if you pursue one of them, probably you won't achieve the other one. And to limit the agricultural business is a way, you can bet about that, of not achieving to eliminate the hunger of the world. That's very easy. And at the same time, you, by targeting for example, the agricultural industry, you are targeting many third world countries that have their economy that are based mainly on the agricultural business. So you also fight against the elimination of poverty. You are working on the opposite side. You want more poverty. Because if you are targeting people that are living of the agricultural business in the third world country, you are making more poverty on the third world country. So all these goals, at the end of the day, are competing within them because they are simply just brilliant ideas that are not really applicable. Some people, usually rich or extreme rich people, that travel around the different continents with their private jets, and they are quite worried about the environment. So the first question that we should ask to these people, the one to attend, for example, the COP28 or the World Economic Forum, that are really worried also about the Agenda 2030, why they don't fly in the line, with normal flights? Why they use private flights in order to get to their meetings? So it would be much less polluting to take a normal ticket, maybe in business class or in first class. They can afford that, no problem with that, instead of using private planes. But and then we should ask, who is paying the private planes? Well, probably if you work in a bakery in Argentina or in Paris or in Italy or in the United States, you are the one with your taxes that are paying these planes. You woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning in order to prepare the bread, and with the taxes that you are paying, you are also financing the private planes but they probably don't pollute, right? Well, that's the contradiction that we have around the Agenda 2030. Then the last point that I'd like to reflect is the electrification of our world. So we believe, it is a common belief, that thanks to the electrification, we will get to a better world. And probably yes, but at the same time, what does it mean, such electrification? Well, it means the only way to arrive to enough electrical power in order to run the world, it will be an exponential increase of the nuclear energy. But there is a little problem with nuclear energy. It is a cleaner energy, I agree with that, but at the same time, the nuclear waste, it could be quite polluting. So I'm not sure, and also I'm not sure with nuclear energy, with all other products that need to be mined, for example, copper, silver, etc., all together means a more or a cleaner world. I think to achieve a better environment should be a goal for everybody, but it should be the impact of the different sources of energies should be very well analyzed in order to make sure that we are on the right path. It would be very disappointment in a few years discover that maybe the path that had been chosen was the wrong one, and actually it caused more pollution than it would have been. So, thank you. There are many subjects, so it's impossible in a simple presentation to discuss each one of them. But thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you in my next video.